Welcome along, fellow time travelers and strange historians. As you know, we have a study group where we discuss various strange subjects in multi-hour live streams, but not everybody has the time to listen to them. I know that. You know that. Lots of people know that. Some people just don't have the time. But even if you do, here are some notes that some of our fellow strange historians have sent to me stating what they learned. This time around, we're going to talk about another live stream we did about Van Gogh's paintings. Specifically, I believe we spoke about Starry Night over the Rhone and also Cafe Terrace at Night and Irises. So Vincent van Gogh spent about 15 months in Arles, which is a lovely town in the south of France. He was there from February of 1888 all the way until May of 1889, and while he was there, he produced hundreds of paintings, including some of his most famous works such as Starry Night over the Rhone and Cafe Terrace at Night. He was drawn to the colors, really vibrant colors, and the sunny climate in the south of France, as anybody would be. It is an absolutely amazing and beautiful place to live and most certainly to visit as well. So there was artistic inspiration everywhere he looked. And so while he was there, he rented a yellow house, it's called, and he used it as a studio and his living quarters. He called it the Yellow House, and he painted a lot of works there that depicted the building and its surroundings. Vincent was hoping to have a kind of artist colony, and he was really exciting when Paul Gauguin decided to come and live with him. And so he went down there for several months in 1888, but they had lots of arguments. They had creative differences, and their relationship was pretty bad. In fact, Van Gogh got so upset at one point that he sliced off a portion of his own ear, which is an unpleasant thing to do. Don't do it. I don't recommend it. Sounds awful. And while in Arles, he was developing his own distinctive style. He was experimenting with brushwork and layering paint and bold colors and painting at night and painting in the daytime and painting what he saw directly, painting on his memory. Really, really great stuff because he was affected by the natural beauty of the region. He was painting landscapes, he was painting scenes of daily life, he was painting the surrounding countryside. He was being as productive as he possibly could. He was so dedicated to his craft, to his artistic career. And as we know, poor Vincent had a lot of financial difficulties and certainly grappled with mental illness. And so he had a lot of challenges that he faced, but this was a really crucial period in his artistic development, and he was constantly inspired. And he just really accomplished so many wonderful things. So during that live stream, we spoke about Cafe Terrace at Night, and that was created in September of 1888. And it depicts a outdoor cafe in the town of Arles. It's really there. I mean, you could go there today, and it had brightly lit tables and chairs, and this fantastic starry sky overhead in the distance. The painting's really notable for its use of color. It used a lot of bright yellows, it used oranges, and that's the cafe. And then you had the blue sky and the stars above. And it was great because this is what Van Gogh was doing. He was trying to document, right? And he was documenting outdoor scenes and still lifes around the area of Arles. He loved the cafe. He loved how lively the atmosphere was. He loved the sense of community. And it was just one of his favorite places to go to. And thank goodness he was able to create this magnificent painting to really capture how magnificent it was at the time. It's easily one of his most famous and most certainly recognizable works. And it's used as a symbol quite often for Vincent's artistic style and clearly his innovative approach to painting. Van Gogh wrote, in reference to it, he said, this is a quote, "The night is more alive and more richly colored than the day." Isn't that cool? Isn't that a great quote? And so the color's profuse, right? And it's got like all these little shapes in there. It's like a jigsaw, right? Like a little jigsaw puzzle, kind of like piecing little things together. And you can and your eyes just kind of flow around to the large objects and the small objects and the deep dark sky in the background and the things in the foreground. And you got that yellow, right? You got this fantastic, brilliant yellow, and you got the blue-black of the street and the violent blue of the foreground. And you got this great composition right? That kind of unifies the work, and your eye is drawn in, right? Like you have these parallel lines, and it slopes towards the awning and the roof of the house above, and you've got these perpendicular planes, and your eyes are just like roving. There's no place really specifically that you need to focus on, right? And so there's just constant movement, and it's like a tour, right? It's like your eyes are going on a little adventure throughout this fantastic scene that honestly he was able to capture this moment in time, and it looks more like a movie than it does a painting or even a photograph, right? Now, it has been suggested that Van Gogh's painting sort of contains allusions to Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper. And so if you look at it, you can see that there's this guy right there in the center, and he's got long hair, right? He's in white, yeah? And he's surrounded by maybe a dozen individuals. I think it's a little bit more than that, but that's fine. And so you have a cross-like shape right behind that main figure, which would be the Jesus figure. And so you've got the cross and the window, and then in the doorway, in the far left, you got this shadowy figure, right? He's dark, right? And he's meant to symbolize Judas, if this is true. And so, is it true? We talk about it in the live stream. If you want to check it out, listen to our conversation. But it wouldn't be unusual for Vincent to do something like this, but it's up to you. I mean, Vincent never mentioned that he did this or didn't do this. So, it's up to interpretation. Among all the other things that are interesting about this painting is that it has had 3 separate titles. So when it was first exhibited in public in 1891, the work bore the title, it's French, but it means coffee house at evening. And then you also have Café Terrace on the Place des Forum. And then, of course, you have the Café Terrace at night. And, his I don't know if it's his most famous painting, but everybody knows, the Starry Night, right? But they don't know that Café Terrace at night, with its own star-filled sky, actually was done prior to the Starry Night. And so if you think about it, you've got this Café Terrace at night, and then you've got Starry Night over the Rhone, and then you've got Starry Night, right? So it's like a trilogy of distinctive paintings that are filled with starry skies. What's interesting, a lot of people don't realize this, but it's a night scene, right? And the painting, though, has no black. There's no black color in it. And he states this actually in a letter to his sister, that the night is richer in color than the day. Also, what's fascinating is that Vincent was actually here while he was painting it, right? He painted it on location rather than memory. And so they say that the position of the stars in the sky is accurate. It's astronomically correct for how the stars would have been on the day and time that Vincent would have been there. Also in the live stream, we spoke about iris. Now, Vincent painted several versions of the iris flower, but his most famous is his painting that's simply titled Irises. And here's some facts about that. It was painted in May of 1889, and Van Gogh was voluntarily staying at the time at the Saint-Paul-de-Moselle Asylum in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence in France. And the painting depicts a close-up view of a group of irises and is rendered in vibrant shades of green and purple and blues. And he painted irises shortly after creating another flower painting and Starry Night over the Rhone, which has a similar color palette and obviously uses that impasto technique that Vincent was so famous for. But he painted it during a particularly productive time, and I mean, my God, he painted 100 paintings in just over a year. I mean, this guy was a machine of painting, and good for him, right? It was one, by the way, of several of his works that were exhibited in Paris in 1890, sadly after his death. Today, it's in Los Angeles at the J. Paul Getty Museum, easily considered to be one of Vincent's masterpieces. Lots of color, right? Really vivid color, expressive brushwork, and numerous reproductions and adaptations have been made. You've seen it on calendars and mugs and t-shirts and everything you could possibly imagine. And it's a fascinating painting. It's really, really beautiful. And it's such a shame that Vincent struggled with so many difficulties over the course of his life, because thanks to what he did, this great-hearted man, this brilliant man, following his death, he just inspired and has captivated people like you, people like me, strange historians, people who love art all around the world. Vincent van Gogh is amazing, and we're going to keep doing more and more live streams to talk about his artwork and to learn more about him and the fantastic things that he created during his way too short lifetime. And so this concludes this episode of Strange History Study Notes. If you enjoyed this video, kindly hit the like button and share this video and subscribe to my channel, and please become a member of my channel. If you want to support this, what I'm doing, this kind of content, please buy me a super thanks in the comments below. In fact, you could also check out the links below to make a donation directly to me. And you could check out my sponsor. Doing stuff like that really helps me out a lot. And if you want to help yourself out a lot, you should go down to a local shelter and adopt a cat or a dog. Do it today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month. Do it today. Head on down there. Save the life of a cat or a dog. They'll be so happy that you did, and you'll be very glad that you did. And so, until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.